Hey guys, it's Simeon. This is Wrestling Unlimited as we are here on the 7th of April 2020. Talk about tonight's NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver Night 1. So just so you guys know, tonight we are not going to be reviewing AEW Dynamite. I had the show on and so forth, but I didn't pay a lot of attention to it. If there was something that caught my eye, I rewound it really quick just to see what it was. But regardless, I didn't really pay too much attention to AEW tonight. I saw some stuff that I kind of want to talk about, but I'm not going to because we're dedicating this to TakeOver. With that, just for you guys watching in the live chat, we are only talking about NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver Night 1, not AEW Dynamite. And then starting next week, we'll be doing the separate reviews because, well, NXT is moving to Tuesdays, and Dynamite will stay on Wednesdays, so we will be reviewing NXT on Wednesdays, or Tuesdays, Dynamite on Wednesdays, separate days. But with that, I want to say thank you guys for joining me here, twitch.tv/PW Unlimited, youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Remember, if you are watching on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways, either by hitting that donate button down below, or by donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, if you're watching on Twitch, you can subscribe to the channel one of two different ways, either with a tiered subscription or with Amazon Prime, because if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming gives you one free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month, and I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribe to us right here, PW Unlimited. But with that, also, if you are on the flip side watching on YouTube, you can help us out by hitting that button to give us either a super chat or a super sticker donation. Also, remember, you can subscribe to the channel as a channel member to get early access to news, exclusive news, and early access to non-news videos. Plus, you get a badge next to your name in the live chat, and you get to use emojis in the live chat as well. But with that, we're here to talk about NXT TakeOver, and I got a couple of things I need to hash out before we get going. So, I watched it on Peacock. I checked out the stream, or whatever you want to say, on USA Network. And what I noticed was Peacock had no commercials for the most part. And the USA Network did run commercials with picture-in-picture. Now, here's the thing, though. Depending on the person, Peacock was 1 to 2 minutes behind. For me, it was roughly a minute and a half behind or so, Peacock was from the USA Network feed. But I did see some people say as much as 2 minutes behind. So that was a thing. But it's not going to be a thing tomorrow since it's only airing on Peacock. But the issue there is that, I'd send out a tweet being like, man, I think, or I'd be on, not even sending out a tweet, but I'd be on Twitter. I'd hit that refresh button, and all of a sudden it would be like, oh, MSK are the champions. And then it's not even until like 90 seconds later that they finally get that pin. So, yeah. That was a thing. Also, as far as on Peacock being able to rewind and restart, we got an update on that as we did reach out to Peacock about this, and they told us the following. Let me pull that quote that they gave me up. I want to get it correctly. They said, Peacock player controls will start to be available on Apple devices beginning with WrestleMania. We plan to roll this out to all our supported devices by SummerSlam. So you heard that right. Peacock is only putting the rewind and restart feature for WrestleMania on Apple devices. That is an iPad, iPhone, or an Apple TV. So if you're running on anything else, your computer, and I don't even know if this, I should have asked for clarification if that also meant iOS computers like MacBooks and stuff. But they, when I clarified, I said, so only Apple stuff, they came back to me and said iPhone, iPad, it says supported iPhones, iPads, and Apple TVs. So if you're watching on an Android TV, if you're watching on Roku, if you're watching on, I think it's on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, or your computer, you still will not be able to rewind or restart WrestleMania. Well, that's going to suck. Really going to suck. But with that, we're here to talk about NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver. I didn't catch the pre-show, but I do know that Zoe Starks picked up a surprise victory over Toni Storm. Oh, got this. I've been feeling good for the last couple days. If you guys haven't noticed, like yesterday, I didn't post anything, so I've got the cough I normally have, but it's worse now. So just bear with me, guys. My nose is also stuffed up, but as far as the show does go, Pete Dunne and Kushida did kick off the main card. Well, actually, beforehand, we saw Nina Strauss play an instrumental version of the Star Spangled Banner on an electric guitar. That was pretty badass. As far as the opening match of the night, it was Pete Dunne versus Kushida, and this was, I want to say, almost a perfect match to open up the show because it had so much technical wrestling, so much high-paced action, so much just good shit, as people may say. And it really got everybody hyped up for what this show was. So I thought this was, out of all the matches, I think this one opening the show, and any match on this card would have been fine opening the show. But I think the pace that this match had and everything with it was actually the perfect match to open up the show. They started by trying to catch each other in submissions. The grappling continued as they fought for control. Excuse me. Dunne went for some joint manipulation, and he tripped up Kushida on an attempted handspring. Dunne gave Kushida an X-Plex on the apron. Then had a slugfest, and the fight spilled to the ramp. A great sequence here as they went back and forth. Dunne snapped Kushida's fingers, but Kushida answered back with the Fisherman Buster into a small package. So, like I said, this is when they went to the first commercial break. If you were watching on USA, got picture-in-picture, and they said it too on Peacock. You heard them say, "Oh, we had to take a commercial break, but you won't miss any of the action with our picture-in-picture content," or something like that. And if you're watching on Peacock, you see it happening, and then you hear the sound kind of like fade. And then about 20 seconds or so later, the sound would come back, commentary would come back, and we're just still live on Peacock. And then it would run through the commercial. We'd hear that sound fade again. The camera would cut to like a cool return from commercial angle, and then we're back live with USA Network. So that's how they did that. They both went for cross arm breakers on one point, and they traded a lot of strikes. This match only got better as the farther in it got. They fought on the turnbuckle, and Kushida went for a flip off the top into a hoverboard lock. Dunne, though, escaped, but Kushida tied up Dunne in another hold. Kushida went for a flying knee on Dunne's elbow, back to the hoverboard lock, and then back to the hoverboard lock. Dunne escaped again, and he targeted the fingers. Kushida went for a big punch, but he sold his own hand. Dunne, a moment later, executed the bitter end and pinned Kushida to pick up the victory. So Pete Dunne does pick up the victory here for, in this opening match. I'm going to read this question in the Twitch chat. It says, "Hey, I have a question. On night one, which match were you looking forward?" Oh, I'll get to that later. I thought this was maybe a Peacock question because it said something about night one, night two. Next up, we have the Gauntlet Eliminator. And maybe I just didn't pay attention to the last Gauntlet Eliminator because this isn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be your normal Gauntlet match. Two guys start, and then when someone gets pinned, somebody else comes out. But no, this is more of a very mini Rumble type deal where two guys start, and every X amount of minutes, another guy comes out. So that's how they did it here, where Leon Ruff and Isaiah Swerve Scott started off the match, where Scott attacked Leon Ruff before the match even started on the ramp. Fly on my screen, bugging the crap out of me. And the interesting thing here is that actually took place. So he attacks on the ramp, Ruff fired up, and they brawled around ringside before getting back into the ring. And then half of that, if not most of that, actually did not air on the USA Network, but we got to see it on Peacock. After the USA Network came back from break, we actually had the match begin. So Scott with the heat on Ruff, had the heat on Ruff, but Ruff came back with a springboard off the announce desk. Cough is rough. Cough is rough right now. Where was I? Ruff came back with a springboard off the announce desk into a cutter on the floor. Scott soon cut off Ruff. They fought on the turnbuckles, and Ruff sent Scott flying with a super Frankensteiner. Oh, that last cough made my eyes water like crazy. I apologize, guys, but I'm going to get through it. We'll all get through this. Also, remember, guys, if you want to be part of the show, you can do so by texting in to 510-906-1341. Again, that number is 510-906-1341. So Bronson Reed would enter next, and Reed went for a flying crossbody. No, Ruff went for a flying crossbody on Bronson Reed, but Reed caught him. Reed then flung him into the ring. Reed proceeded to clean house, and at one point, he also did a double German suplex where Swerve had his arms around Ruff, then Reed grabbed Swerve, fucking German over his head. Double, triple, whatever you want to call it. I thought that was an awesome spot. Leon Ruff landed right on the back of his neck. That looked like it hurt. Next up will be Cameron Grimes, who took his time coming down to the ramp. Grimes moonsaulted into the ring, landing on Reed. After Reed went to the outside, Grimes bribed Scott with a fistful of cash. Scott then teamed up to help Cameron Grimes. Ruff was taking all kinds of big bumps here, including an exploder into the corner. Good grief. This guy was taking punishment, and he was first eliminated. Dexter Lumis joined the match as the next entrant. Lumis cleared the ring, and then he faced off with Bronson Reed. Everybody was sent out of the ring before the next entrant, LA Knight, would make his way out. LA Knight came out cutting a promo. He kicked a downed Reed on the ramp, saying, "Get this guy to the back." And then he faced off with Reed moments later. As Reed came back, grabbed him by the hair. They went at it. Lumis was then eliminated when LA Knight cradled him for a pin. Reed then eliminated Knight via a pinfall. LA Knight actually in a lot less shorter time than I expected. Lumis then grabbed Knight and put him to sleep. We then had a three-way dance here that was actually really good. Cameron Grimes, Bronson Reed, and Isaiah Swerve Scott at the end. Scott eliminated Grimes with a reverse O'Connor roll, and then, holy crap, was this so good. Bronson Reed and Isaiah Swerve Scott had just a phenomenal matchup here. Reed took a Death Valley driver on the apron and it looked painful. Scott then hit a 450 splash for a near fall. Reed then kicked out of another for a 2. Reed then powerbombed Scott, and he also planted Scott with an air raid crash. Reed finished the match with a tsunami off the top rope to pick up the victory and moves on to tomorrow. Bronson Reed will now face Johnny Gargano tomorrow for the NXT North American Championship. Gargano came out on the stage, yelled at Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed pointed at him. That's our title match for tomorrow, guys. Bronson Reed versus Johnny Gargano. That match should be fun. Very fun. But then we got the match of the night, ladies and germs. NXT United Kingdom Championship. I don't know why I said it like that. United Kingdom Championship. Walter defending against Tommaso Ciampa. I felt like this match right here was the match of the night. Hands down. If you didn't see it, go back and watch it. Please. So not only did we get the Ciampa of old in this match, he went back to trunks and he shaved the head. And I felt the more people will talk about Ciampa's shaved head than anything tonight, as far as this match does go. But as soon as the match started, Ciampa ran right at Walter. Just when Ciampa thought he was in control, though, UK champion Walter awoke. Walter struck down Ciampa, and Walter pummeled him at ringside. Ciampa ducked a chop, and Walter also chopped the announce desk right in half. I thought that was a really cool spot. He went to chop Ciampa. Ciampa ducked. His hand went through the announce desk. I mean, it's something different. I've never seen it before. And Wade Barrett put it over as, wow, that's new. I've never seen that happen. But I did like here early on how Ciampa kept countering and evading different chops and whatnot. Back in the ring, Ciampa blocked another chop. could not lift Walter as he tried. Ciampa targeted the hand, but Walter mowed him down with a big boot to the face. Walter grounded Ciampa on the mat at one point, and Walter again booted him in the face. Walter would go on to punish Ciampa, but Walter kept selling the hand. Ciampa fought back with some lariats, yet he was unable to knock Walter off his feet. Ciampa kept hitting Walter countless times with lariats before knocking Walter off his feet. Ciampa followed with an air raid crash off the turnbuckle, middle ropes, but wasn't enough. Walter with a backdrop for a 2, but Ciampa answered right with the devil's wings for another near fall. Walter caught Ciampa in a sleeper hold, and Ciampa used the injured hand to break the hold. Suplex by Walter. He then would then lead him to hitting Ciampa with a lariat from hell, basically. Ciampa somehow, though, kicked out. Ciampa countered Walter to avoid a Fujiwara armbar. Walter looked to be in trouble as Ciampa stomped on the injured hand. Walter was in the corner. He reversed and clubbed Ciampa with the good hand. They fought on the top turnbuckle. Oh, no. So I was wrong. He gave him an air raid crash early, but then they fought on the top rope the middle rope for the air raid crash here. So they actually gave him 2 air raid crashes. I got that mixed up. Going forward, after Ciampa was unsuccessful with the avalanche air raid crash, they traded vicious chops. Walter targeted the neck. He powerbombed him twice. Ciampa, that is. Walter powerbombed Ciampa. Nonetheless, Ciampa managed to kick out. Walter then hit a sleeper suplex. He then followed this up with a knife-edge chop before covering Ciampa to retain the title. So, amazing match here. Both Tommaso Ciampa and Walter looked phenomenal. And they said it on the pre-show. They said, because like I said, I caught some of that, but I didn't see the match. But I did hear at one point, because it's like the first thing they talked about. Sam Roberts was like, I'm going to say it. Ciampa hasn't looked and felt the same since the neck surgery. And tonight, he felt like NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa. Ciampa versus Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. This match was phenomenal. Phenomenal. Going forward, we had a triple threat match for the vacant NXT Tag Team Championships. It was the Grizzly Young Vets against MSK and Legado del Fantasma. So they did this as triple threat rules where 3 people were in the ring at one time, not the whole 2 people in the ring where you can tag anybody you want. Lots of action, quick-paced action early on. The Vets slowed things down, though, but MSK fired right back up into a flying comeback. Wild himself also did some dives to the outside. Legado del Fantasma with stereo coast-to-coast flying drop kicks. Legado del Fantasma were in control through the commercial break with the heat on Carter. He got the hot tag. Wes Lee, that was, got the hot tag and ran wild with some flying offense. Lots of action here with everybody involved. At one point, the Grizzly Young Vets smashed Lee's hand. Now remember, they targeted the hand because he's coming off of a hand injury. Coming off of that damn broken hand, which actually delayed them in challenging for the tag titles. MSK, that is. Lee was trapped in an armbar by Gibson at one point when Carter went to make the save, but was put in a sleeper hold by James Drake. Legado del Fantasma rushed into the ring and hit several double team moves. MSK would then try to take out Legado del Fantasma with some double team moves of their own. Joaquin Wilde was then taken out by Grizzly Young Veterans as Raul Mendoza was taken out by MSK at ringside. The finish of the match then saw a big stare down between MSK and the Vets. The crowd was really getting into this. But then, unfortunately, we got This Is Awesome chants. But they were piped in This Is Awesome chants because the crowd was not chanting This Is Awesome. You can tell because usually they go, This is awesome. And the crowd was just doing regular clapping, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. But with that, all 4 men faced off in the middle of the ring. Carter with a double cutter on the Vets. MSK then executed a doomsday blockbuster before Wes Lee. I think it was Wes Lee. I'm pretty sure. Wes Lee pinned Zach Gibson to pick up the pinfall victory and become the new NXT Tag Team Champions. So they got to see something in these guys, Wesley and Nash Carter, to give them the tag titles this quickly. And I expected this. Even if it was still MSK versus Lorcan and Birch, I expected MSK to walk out the champions. And they looked phenomenal tonight, as they've looked phenomenal since debuting in NXT. And I think hands down, no matter if this was the triple threat we got tonight or that traditional tag team match that we were supposed to get before Danny Burch went down with his injury, I think this was the right move, bar none. Bar none. But with that, we then move on to our main event, Raquel Gonzalez versus Io Shirai. I need to check something really fast. I want to see how much time this match officially got. If I can get that. Yeah. This match ended up getting 12 minutes and 56 seconds. But it was reported by Fightful that a match on the show went long. I don't know which match, but one match went longer than expected. And Raquel and Io actually had their time cut. Now, if they weren't on, this never happened for a takeover because they're never restricted on time. But even with the overrun, they were still restricted on time for how long the show can go. And so they had to, hard out at this time. So this match actually did get its time cut. But give me 1 second. My son needs something. Here, if you need help, come here. Give you 1 quick second, and then we'll talk about this main event. You get it? Okay, never mind. He got it. But going forward, we did get this world title match or women's championship match. I thought this was a really, really fun match. Also, Cowboys. Yeah, I totally forgot. Let's set that up really fast. I forgot the poll. What did you think of TakeOver Night 1? Told you guys, I wasn't feeling good. I'm kind of out of it. But we're getting going. I liked it. It was all right. I didn't like it. All right, polls up on Twitch. Get that same poll going on YouTube really fast. Again, thank you, Cowboys, for reminding me. All right, poll is live on YouTube as well. As we go in to this main event, this match was fun. I don't think it was the match of the night. I think that's Walter Ciampa. But this match was super, super fun. I really enjoyed this matchup. So, Shirai used her quickness early on to outwit Gonzalez during the early portions of this match. Shirai eventually, though, flew through the ropes with a dive to the outside. This dive to the outside looked rough as they crashed into the barricade. Then Io, I guess, was going to go for a moonsault to the outside, but Dakota Kai would get involved. Dakota grabbed Io and kind of like pulled her face into the top turnbuckle. And the referee saw it and says, the referee literally saw this happen. Dakota lets go and he looks at her and he says, this is a title match with her and her. So you are out of here. I like the way he did it. He was like, you couldn't hear him per se, but you can tell what he was saying. And he was just like, this is a title match between her, and you are out of here. I like that a lot. I like when the refs, now I know you were going to say, oh, you always talk about the refs shouldn't be a focal point of the match. It shouldn't be a focal point when they're involved in an actual physical spot. I don't like that stuff. But when it is to kick somebody out from ringside and then help, I guess you could say, the flow of the match going forward, I don't mind it there. So I thought this was fun. It was a 20-second thing. I thought it was funny the way he did. He was like, with her and her, so you're out of here. I like that. But with that, Raquel saw what had went down, tried to go after Io, but Io avoided a couple shots. She then kicked Gonzalez with a, I guess you could say, back kick. Like she went for a punt kick, She missed Raquel. Then she kind of swung her leg right back into Raquel's chest. Eventually, both women got back into the ring, and Gonzalez used some power moves. Shirai was only down for a 2. Gonzalez worked over Shirai with her power, and Gonzalez applied a modified gory special. Shirai escaped to mount a comeback. Shirai came back with a tiger feint kick and a springboard missile drop kick, which led to a near fall. Shirai then countered a power move to catch Gonzalez in her crossface. Shirai off the top turnbuckle with a moonsault onto the ramp. She then followed this up by hitting Gonzalez with double running knees, Meteora, right there in the middle of the ramp. There was then a huge, at the entrance of the ramp, there's a huge skull in the middle. Well, Io needs to jump off something high, just like she did at NXT TakeOver in your house. She jumped off the set piece. She jumped off the skull. Did a nice dive right onto Raquel Gonzalez. Basically gave me just super Sabu vibes every time she does this. Very impressive. Very impressive. Shirai then hit her signature moonsault press, but Gonzalez kicked out. They made this seem like that, oh my God, no one's ever kicked out of that move, which I don't think that's true. Gonzalez soon cut off Shirai's momentum. She started talking trash to Io. That fired up Shirai for one final flurry, but it wasn't enough as Gonzalez's power took over. The finish of the match then saw Raquel Gonzalez lift Shirai with a one-armed powerbomb, slam her down very hard in the middle of the ring, cradle that pin, and pick up the victory to become the new NXT Women's Champion. And then NXT flubbed a bit. So she wins the match, and Vic Joseph goes, Io Shirai is the new NXT Women's Champion, and she's made history tonight. Io Shirai is the only woman to hold both the NXT and NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. So I, not thinking, go, oh, so that's why they had them hold the titles for 2 hours. But that's not the case. Who's the current Women's Tag Team Champions right now? Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. Ember Moon is a former NXT Women's Champion. I totally forgot. So actually, Raquel is not the first and only woman to hold both the NXT Women's and NXT Women's Tag Team titles. Ember Moon's the first. Ember Moon is the one that made history. But with that, Raquel Gonzalez celebrated on the ramp. Total babyface celebration. They had smoke come in from the sides. Sparklers rain down from the top of the stage. As Raquel Gonzalez is the new NXT Women's Champion. They put a graphic on the screen saying with the Raquel Gonzalez logo, and it said new NXT Women's Champion. But with that was NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver Night 1. I thought this was a great show. I mean, it's TakeOver. It wasn't just, an episode of NXT build us TakeOver. What are we going to get? Like we've seen in the last year with like NXT Great American Bash or something like that. Like we've seen those special episodes of NXT. They kind of didn't hit the TakeOver mark, but were good. But this show did really feel like a TakeOver indeed. And we get another night tomorrow. But with that, I want to see what you guys had to say about tonight's NXT TakeOver. Remember, you guys can be part of the show by texting in to 510-906-1341. And one more time, that number is 510-906-1341. This person here says, who do you think WWE should push on NXT as far as people that you don't see as much on NXT television? It's a good question, actually. You know, people that we don't see a lot, but should get pushed more. I mean, they're going to be in this transition period. Because from what I've heard, we're going to get a couple call-ups from NXT following WrestleMania. I don't know how soon following WrestleMania, but I think if we're going to talk about who should get some pushes, Isaiah Swerve Scott is totally deserving after tonight's match. But people we don't normally see, that's the hard thing. Because we consistently, and this isn't a knock, we consistently do see the same people, not every week, but consistently on the show. I think NXT does do a good job of, you got your top guys, it's got to be on the show every week, but then you do also have your secondary players that really do play into the show and having great matches, and you keep them consistent so people don't forget about them. So I don't know if there's anybody that it's like, oh, we haven't seen them in a while on NXT. But like I said, if there's one person that I think should get a really good push coming out of tonight, Isaiah Swerve Scott. First says, have you heard the rumors of Davey Boy Jr. being eyed for NXT UK as a focal point of the brand? I've heard that for a year now, and I wouldn't do it. I think he'd be better served off in regular NXT. I don't think, especially since he lives in Tampa, like, I think he would be better off in regular NXT. Make him a big time player there. He can have great matches with guys like Bronson Reed, LA Knight, Karrion Kross, who may be coming to the main roster. I don't know. Finn Balor, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano. I think if you want to bring him into WWE, I mean, I get why you say bring him to NXT UK because his father was the British Bulldog. But in all actuality, he doesn't even have an accent. He's just a guy. I think he's got a slight Canadian accent. And hold on. I'm actually going to look something up here. Because I think, yeah, so he was born in Calgary. But I'm trying to remember, is he like Natty? Because I know he lives in Tampa. And I know Natty actually didn't grow up as much in Canada as you would think. She grew up more in Tampa. But I think, yeah, he did grow up more, mostly in Canada. So, but yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I would think that he would do better on regular NXT. He would do great in NXT UK, but he is somebody that can really make a difference on television. And I think WWE can capitalize on him. And unfortunately, not enough people watch NXT UK for me to think, oh yeah, throw him over there. When I know for a fact he's more than ready for NXT UK. I mean, or NXT proper in the United States. I mean, just look at all the stuff he did in New Japan. Amazing. And he's a great talker as well. So I think he would be better off in regular NXT. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I've been hearing these rumors for almost a year now. Since last summer, at least. This next person here states, assuming that Rhea Ripley possibly beats Asuka at WrestleMania. Excuse me. Could you see WWE bringing up Io Shirai to Raw and having a feud with Asuka? Yes and no. I can see it happening, but I don't think it would happen. Because they're too similar, and Vince doesn't like to put two people that are that similar together, especially when someone's just starting out on a brand. So I could see it happen, but I don't think it's likely. Chris says, I hope tomorrow night's matches can be a little longer since it's only on Peacock and not the USA Network. So that's a good question. Also, I want to check something. We have the match times right here. And the longest match, of course, was the Gauntlet match at about 23 minutes. The Walter Ciampa match went 16, almost 17. The tag title match went 15 and a half. And then the main event went about 13. So I would assume if tonight's show went 2 hours and 15 minutes-ish, I think it stopped. It was over about 15 after. I think if it went that long, then maybe tomorrow's show goes 2.5, 3 hours. Because you're going to want to give time for sure. Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. Plus, you can't do, I honestly don't think they can do a 12-minute ladder match. I think that ladder match between Jordan Devlin and Escobar needs to go at least 15. Then you got Karrion Kross and Finn Balor. That match is going to go probably 15, 16. Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed. I can see that doing the 12-minute treatment. Then you've also got Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart defending the tag titles against the Ways, Candice LeRae, and Indy Hartwell. I can see that being another 12, 13-minute match. But I think you give time to Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly. You give time to the ladder match, whether that's 16, 17 minutes. And then I don't think the main event should go any less than 15. But With that, I do want to say thank you to Jack Dawson for the super chat or the super sticker donation, the donation in the live chat on YouTube. Really do appreciate that, my guy. We got a couple more text messages here. First, it says, what do you think is next for Io Shirai? And who do you think is the next challenger to Raquel Gonzalez? So I think Io could be coming to the main roster. I mean, the only thing left for her in NXT is to challenge Raquel again, beating everybody else. Kind of like an Asuka situation, but she actually lost the title instead of vacated the title. But as far as who could challenge Raquel, I mean, it's anybody. It's anybody. Because Raquel is the new champion, and she hasn't successfully defended against anybody. So I think the sky's the limit. I would have liked to see Raquel Toni Storm, but Toni Storm took a loss on the pre-show, so I doubt that that's in the cards. That's a tough one, actually, because I don't see anybody ready. I honestly don't see any woman in NXT that's in that I'm ready to challenge for the title position. That's unfortunate. And this other question here asks the same question. Who do you think would challenge Raquel Gonzalez? This person actually says, I hope it's not a babyface Frankie Monet. God, such a dumb name. I don't like the name either. I wish she would still be Taya Valkyrie. But regardless, probably from what I've heard that the character's supposed to be, she can't be a babyface. She's got to be a heel. It's her Impact character, but with a tweak and an upgrade. So in Impact, she was like what we call in California a valley girl, a preppy girl. But apparently in NXT, she's going to be that plus some, and she's going to be more like a fashionista, all about the fashion and I guess you can almost say what they wanted the Emelina character to be, from what I've heard. And this last text message says, who do you see getting called up after Mania? I'd like to see Ciampa and Gargano as a team, as two of them. Gargano ain't going up. Gargano has said in interviews, and I don't know how serious he is about this, he's literally said in interviews, I'll retire before I wrestle on the main roster full time. So, that's the thing. But as far as coming up, I've heard the name Adam Cole. I've heard the name Karrion Kross. I've heard the name Io Shirai. Anybody else? We'll wait and see. But I've heard those three names specifically. And also, we do have our polls to check out really fast. The YouTube poll. 88% liked tonight's NXT TakeOver. 8% thought it was all right. And 5% did not like it. As far as the Twitch poll does go, 88% liked tonight's show, 13% thought it was all right, and nobody disliked tonight's takeover. Cowboys in the YouTube chat says, can you see a program between Gonzalez and Martinez? That was a name that came to mind, but I just don't think she looked that strong as a coming out. I don't think she's that strong of a challenger coming out of the triple threat with Toni Storm and Io. So if they were to do Mercedes Martinez, which that would probably be a really good match, Raquel versus Mercedes, they're going to really have to build up Mercedes because she has just been, I mean, honestly, has she even had a match since that match? I'm going to look it up right here. Mercedes Martinez cage match. Honestly, I don't even know if Mercedes Martinez has had a match. So she has. So she challenged in the Triple Threat TakeOver Vengeance Day. Then she lost when she teamed with Aaliyah in the Dusty Classic. So yeah, no, she's cold. She is nowhere near ready to challenge for the belt. Also, I want to say thank you to Ruben for the bit donation in the Twitch chat. I really do appreciate that. Dan the Man says, what about Dakota Kai challenging? That was another name that came to mind, but that would mean that, well, so here's the thing. We have seen Raquel show spots of babyface. So maybe Raquel cuts some babyface promo on NXT and Dakota Kai's like, what? Really? You're thanking the fans or something? I don't know. But maybe they do something because that's honestly, that would be the only thing to me that would make any sense of a challenger. We would get a hell of a match out of it, and Raquel can pick up a good victory over Dakota. Well, maybe. Because you can go Raquel cuts this babyface promo, thanking the fans for believing in her and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Because even her pre-show interview with Samoa Joe, she came off really babyface. So maybe she does transition babyface now being the champion. Dakota's kind of about it. And then they have a feud. That's possible. Very possible. But that is going to wrap up our review tonight of NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver Night 1. I want to say thank you guys for joining me here tonight on twitch.tv/PW Unlimited or youtube.com/PW or Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Remember to follow us on social media, facebook.com/Pro Wrestling ULTD. Follow us on Instagram by searching for Pro Wrestling Unlimited and follow us on Twitter at PW Unlimited. Also, remember to follow our website, pwunlimited.co, for all the late-breaking news, and turn on them push notifications on your web browser so that way you and 650-plus others know when a new story gets posted on our website. But with that, we will be live again tomorrow night, right here, same place, not sure same time, but probably close to the same time, talking NXT TakeOver, Stand and Deliver, Night 2. Have a great night, guys, and we'll see you back tomorrow for Night 2. Have a good one.